it does. I don't know if we're going to have Jordan Peterson's individual story on here today or Michaela, but all of those other ones, those are from real people that sent those to me, and there's many more. So we're going to share those throughout the day. But why don't we get started and jump in with our first guest here, Mr. Ferrigno. Dante!
Hey guys. Hi, Aaliyah, Gary, Sean,
Dante?
Adam. Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here, Dante. I'm so happy you're our first guest. I got a bunch of notes here, but we're just going to wing it. You were the first. You're the reason that I started carnivore. I saw your video a couple of years ago, and it's all about the real documented examples. And for one reason or another, you decided to document the heck out of yours and really inspire a whole bunch of people. So I can't thank you enough. You see what I got on here?
Yeah, I saw that. Gave me a smile the moment I saw it.
In multiple ways. So I guess for our audience that's not familiar with you, would you mind maybe sharing a little bit about your background and how you found carnivore, or I should say lion diet?
Well, let me start off by saying I'm thankful to be here, Carrie. I really love your enthusiasm, and I love what you're trying to do. And when I hear that my story is what inspired you, and then I see you taking the ball and running with it like this and making the carnivore documentary and just exposing this to so many more people than my reach has been able to get, I'm just glad to hear that, because every day I go into the world, go out into society, and I see people that have no idea what's holding them back. They have no idea what chains are on them and all the lies they've been told about food for the past 40 years. So it's just, I'm excited to be a part of this 24-hour live stream. And over the next 23 and a half hours, people are going to have the opportunity to hear story after story of success and opportunity for hope in their life at a time when so many of us are desperate for hope in so many ways, whether it be health or finances or just our overall well-being. This is a great thing you're doing, and I'm thankful to be able to be here to kick it off with you. Since I was able to get you started on the kickoff for doing this, I'm glad to be here. As far as no problem, man. As far as my background goes, I mean, I was always, the kid that had the weight problem when I was growing up. I was born in 1972, so I grew up in the 70s and 80s. And, it seems like a lot has changed as far as the way kids treat each other when it comes to body shape. And we used to get a lot of flack back then if you were not in shape. And it made me very self-conscious to have these issues. And I didn't understand why when I was younger. I didn't understand why they had to make me wear a trash bag over my body when I was running around the track in second grade football. And it was embarrassing, and it sucked. It sucked to be in that condition and not know why. And then I was, eating everything that my mother would bring my way and show me like, well, this is the healthy way to go. And she was following all the standards that, nutritionists and the experts out there were telling us what to do. I remember in my teens having all these powdered drinks and things like Cambridge and whatever Amway would make that was a food supplement, and trying to eat fruits and drink milk. And not that there's necessarily something wrong with milk other than lactose, which, Mr. T used to tell us to always drink our milk. And I didn't understand why I was drinking all this milk and still staying heavy. And I realize now that sugar was my big issue, but it took me a long time to figure that out because, I looked at all these heroes that I was growing up watching, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. And I said, man, I want to have a body like that. I want to be able to not have this that I'm dealing with all the time. And I worked hard to try to get one. And by my senior year of high school, I had joined the wrestling team. I started to come into my own a little bit. My body started to lengthen out some. And I was young for a senior too, because I was 16 when I started my senior year. And I started jumping rope every day and getting in shape the way you do when you're wrestling heavyweight and you're 210, 215 pounds, and you got to wrestle these guys that are 275 pounds. You say, well, you know what? I need to either gain all that much, which I didn't want to do that, or I wanted to get down to the next lower weight class, which was 189 pounds. So I said, all right, I'm going to lose this 26 pounds or whatever it is I got to lose so I don't have to wrestle these monsters. And I wound up getting in shape doing that, eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and things. But I was tired and I was hungry all the time. So that was the hard part. But I found out that, diet was a big part of the plan as well as exercise. But I still struggled. And I couldn't understand why, when I was eating all the things they were telling me to eat, that unless I was exercising like mad, I was still gaining weight. And I said, this doesn't make any sense, but it's the only thing I've got to go on. And low fat was the big push back then. I remember watching these infomercials and things like that, and they would bring out this big vat that had it was empty to start with, and they would say, this is how much fat you consume in a year, and they're pouring in this yellow material that looks like fat. I don't know if it was fat, but whatever it was, it looked like a big bowl of fat. And they would say, this is what you're putting on your body when you eat this stuff. So I bought all these things. I thought, well, that's the way to go. And I was low fat dieting and trying to stay in shape as much as I could, and eventually that got tiring because, one, I was hungry all the time, and two, I didn't have very much energy. And then life started to kick in. I got into sales, and I was married young, had children young. And sometimes when you got all that going on, you start eating whatever's available. You start eating the fast foods and then going to the restaurants or eating whatever they would deliver pizza to us on a Saturday, for instance, if we were going to work a 12-hour day. And those type of things start to add up. I started putting on a few pounds. I was hitting 240, 250 in my 20s. And eventually, I think, I was probably in my late 20s when I got rushed to the hospital one night, celebrating one of my wedding anniversaries with my first wife. And I woke up there and they told me, well, we're going to have to take your gallbladder out. And I said, well, why? And they said, well, you've got gallstones. And I said, well, what causes those? And they said, we don't know. It's just, once they're there, you're kind of stuck with this situation. You got to have this thing taken out because it's not going to allow you to function properly. It's going to hurt your liver and, it could be deadly. And I said, well, can't you break these things up with some sort of sonic waves or something like that? And they said, nope, this is your only solution. So I said, okay, well, I guess that's what I got to do. And I didn't know then, but I feel like I know now, is that it was the lack of using that bile that goes into your gallbladder to process fats when your body's not receiving any fats. And I was always if I ate meat, it was lean meat. And I ate, like I said, I tried to eat a lot of salads and stuff, or I ate burgers because I ate a lot of restaurant food. Eating things like when I was living in Texas, we'd go out, get taqueria and things like that, which would have a lot of meats in them, but a lot of times they weren't really fatty meats. So I wasn't processing any fat. So that bile just sits there in the gallbladder until it hardens and turns into gallstones. So the diet that I was using to try to save my life was actually causing me to have more problems. And then it also, kind of set me up for some difficulties when I did figure out that a higher fat diet would be okay, because now I don't have a gallbladder. I don't have something there that's going to allow me to have that bile on demand to process all that fat. Thankfully, I've learned since then that your bile duct that goes from your liver to the gallbladder and then into the part of your digestion where it starts to process that fat, that duct can dilate some as you start to use more and more bile. So that's kind of become like a small backup gallbladder, and I'm thankful for that because I do eat a lot of fat now. And let's see. So after the gallbladder situation, I still kept trying to do what I could to keep in shape, but still struggling with the daily parts of life, and then going through a divorce and all the depression that comes with some of those things. You just keep eating. I actually lost weight shortly after my divorce, though, because I started an Atkins diet. This was before all the Atkins products came out. I had just read his book that talked about, this is the way you eat to lose weight. And I thought, wow, you can lose weight eating steak. You can lose weight eating hamburger. And I said, well, I can definitely do this. And I did that, and I lost like 88 pounds in 6 months doing that. and I felt pretty good because I went from size 42 pants to size 32. But I didn't make a lifestyle change. I didn't say this is going to be it from now on. I was just doing it to get the weight off, because I remember I was sitting at a Taco Bell when I looked in the reflection in the mirror and saw my face at 302 pounds, and I said, who is that guy? What am I doing here ordering Taco Bell when I know this guy at my work has been losing all this weight doing this Atkins diet thing? I can change this. I can turn this around. And I started then. And like I say, over time, it probably took, I got down to 214 when I did that. And then I started hanging around in the 230s maybe for a year or so. But before long, I don't know. Let's see, it was after I met my second wife and got fat and happy in that marriage. I remember seeing I hit the scale at about 286 pounds just a few years ago. And I said, man, what is the deal? Because I was still trying to do low carb as much as I could. I would go to Hardee's and things like that, and I would get the low carb burger. And I eventually started leaving the ketchup off and tried to leave off some of the other stuff, but it was still a struggle. And I missed the bread. I was still craving for all of those things because I was eating some carbs, and it was causing me to want to keep going back to it. Not to mention I couldn't avoid sweets. That was always a tough spot for me. And as life continued on, I became an administrator at a retirement home, and there was a lot of pressures in that job, not only because the business itself struggled financially for being a small retirement home in a rural community, so the location was probably not the best for having a lot of people wanting to come. It was always a struggle with that. It was always a struggle with regulations. The government kept wanting to intrude more and more and more. Pressures in my daily life, pressures on my wife, causing pressures in my family. And the stress started to really become an issue too. And I think combining that stress and basically the standard American diet with some modifications, I had gotten rid of soda for a long time, but I was still drinking things like BAI, B-A-I, those antioxidant coconut flavored drinks. And I thought, this is doing me some good, but really, I don't think it was doing me any good at all, because that stevia and those other sweeteners can have an effect on your body where you still respond as if you're eating sugar. So I almost got to the point where the stress and the depression had me suicidal. And the reason I say almost is because they say if you think about it, then you might be. And I thought about it many times. So that, plus the fact that I had this gut problem that was just killing me. I used to describe it to people. I would say it feels like a black hole right above my belly button that's just sucking all the energy out of me. Now, that's also where they went in to remove my gallbladder. So I used to think maybe it has something to do with that. And then I had to have a mesh replacement or whatever they did. I don't know what they did 5 years later, but they went in to fix the problem because the mesh wasn't working anymore and my intestines were poking through the hole. So they had to fix that. So I wasn't sure if it was that problem or maybe it was the stress. I had heard about this thing called leaky gut, but my doctors didn't have any answers. They didn't have any clue. They had, put the scope down this end, put the scope up the other end, looked at everything they could look at and said, there's nothing wrong with you. And then I wound up having a $20,000 doctor bill on all the other stress that I had going on and no answers. Doctors were making me feel like I was crazy. My wife was looking at me and saying, who is this man? This is not the man I married. He's stressed out all the time. He's making me crazy. He's unhealthy. He can't get to work and do what he's got to do. He's up all night long. He snores. I was causing all kind of trouble in my own life. And then I started watching this guy that I heard about called Jordan Peterson. I know you had some clips of his earlier. And Jordan Peterson was helping me with the mental part a lot to be able to try to get refocused on responsibility and taking control of your life and not being afraid to deal with the things you have to deal with, because I think a lot of the stress had worn me down to the point where I was just like, I don't want to face it anymore. I don't want to face these difficulties anymore. And he was helping me make some headway there. And I had a lot of respect for the way his mind worked and what he was offering for free. I mean, he was broadcasting his his lectures as a university professor, as a clinical psychologist, for free to the world and offering some really great information. And then one day I saw him on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan asked him, "So are you still doing that all beef diet thing you've been doing?" And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, "All beef diet? How can you eat all beef?" I read Dr. Atkins' book, and he said you got to eat spinach and you need to eat some other things, and mayonnaise was part of the diet. And I can't remember all the other things, but I mean, ultimately, greens were a big part of the Atkins diet. And I thought, well, how are you able to function? I mean, meat doesn't have any nutrients in it, does it? Does it have any vitamins? I thought it was just kind of like a way to starve without starving, or a way to fast without fasting. But it wasn't going to give me the energy I needed, because when I had done Atkins diet, the one time I wasn't pounding vitamins like crazy, about 4 days into it, I felt like I was going to die. I woke up that morning. I said, I have no energy. I can't lift my arms. I can't lift my legs. And then I started listening to more about Jordan's story and about how it had healed all these different things for him. And then I found out he heard about it from his daughter, Michaela, who had kind of influenced him to get on this way of eating, because she had been researching ways to fix her problem, which was a juvenile rheumatoid arthritis that had left her with multiple surgeries and all kind of pain, and her, where her bones were rubbing against her bones and her joints. And she talked about how it had healed all of these things for her. But the key thing that she pointed out was finding out that you're going to be low on electrolytes on an all meat diet. And I thought, well, if that's the key to the energy and you don't need to be doing all these vitamins, maybe I can give this a shot again. Maybe this is my answer. And on January 14th of 2021, when we talk about stress, there was a lot going on in the year prior to that. So, I mean, it was just high stress point, trying to find a way to deal with these gut issues, wanting to get in shape again. I mean, it wasn't really on my radar, but I knew I was going to lose weight because of my experience on the Atkins diet. So I figured, well, I'm doing this little YouTube thing where I'm doing this game. I was doing Golf Clash as a broadcast on YouTube and sharing that. We had like a community of guys, and I think I had 500 subscribers at the time. So I thought, well, I'll document this experience and I'll share this, because I know there's a lot of folks out there who are going to be surprised that you can do a heavy meat diet and lose weight and get in shape. So I figured I would document it for them. And then when I started that diet, within just a couple of days, I started to feel better. I mean, it was probably the first 2 or 3 days. When you go back and watch my first video, 125 days on Lion Diet, you can see the change in my attitude from day 1 to day 3 is already becoming apparent, because I felt happy again. I felt excited. I felt like this is cool. I'm enjoying eating. And I don't know how long it was, but I started falling asleep at night. I couldn't fall asleep at night before this way of eating. I would be up until the sun was coming up, trying to go to sleep at night. And then I would be up all morning, or not up all morning, but asleep all morning. And then I'd wake up and have these constipation issues that were so bad I'd have to go sit in a bathtub and try to get loosened up. It was awful. But within a very short period of time, I found that I was going to sleep early, and I was falling asleep as soon as my head hit the pillow, which is something I'd never been able to do. And I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning, just ready to take on the day. And I thought, wow, man, this is an unexpected benefit. I had heard Jordan Peterson say it, but it wasn't on my radar, so I didn't think about it. I was mostly thinking about this gut problem that was making me sick and making me want to die. So I started to notice more and more benefits. I started to have energy that I had never had, or I always wanted to have. I always wanted to go exercise. I wanted to go for a walk, but it was always a bridge too far. Like, I'd get out there and walk around the building at the retirement home for 30 minutes, and then I'd feel like I didn't do anything. I didn't even break a sweat. Why did I even waste 30 minutes doing this? But once I started to get this energy within a few months, I decided, you know what? I'm going to start doing push-ups in the morning. I'm going to do some in the afternoon, some in the evening, just to get some blood flowing, because I've got the energy now. And before long, I was doing 100, 150 push-ups a day. Now, granted, I was doing them all wrong. It's probably putting stress on my shoulders because I was just diving in and, going in where angels fear to tread. But I started walking, I started getting that exercise, and I thought, wow, I do have time because I have energy. And it started to change things. And before long, I don't remember what the weight I got down to on that first video, but I know I hit 214 again, which was my lowest weight on Atkins. And this was only in 4 months. I started off around 275, and I thought, this is great. I'm back in the size 33, size 32 pants. And that was something I hadn't done since Atkins. And then I just said, you know what? I was going to do this for 6 weeks, but I'm just going to keep on going. And when I released that first video and it took off like crazy, hundreds of thousands of views within the first week. And I thought, well, I guess I need to keep talking about this. This has got some attention. I didn't know there was a carnivore community. I didn't know about Dr. Baker, or Dr. Barry, or Dr. anybody other than Dr. Peterson. And I said, well, I'll just keep talking about it. Maybe my story can continue to inspire others. And that's pretty much where it's been since. And since then, I hit I hadn't been 189 pounds since that wrestling team situation. And I had to really work to get, because I was like 189.4 when I would get on the scale, and I was trying to suck in my gut and try to be as light as I could so that I could weigh in. I hit 176 pounds back in January of this year. I'm 6'1". And I thought I must have been 12 years old the last time I was 176 pounds. And here I am, 50 years old. I'm in the best shape of my life. I have more energy than I ever have. I'm getting way more done. I mean, productivity is off the charts now. And my attitude is better. My marriage is better. It's just, there's a lot more benefits I haven't even mentioned, like getting rid of snoring, getting rid of high blood pressure. I don't take any medicines anymore. I was on probably 5 or 6 different medicines. I don't think about those things much anymore, but I talk about them all in my videos. So you can go back and check those if you're interested in knowing the whole story. I've tried to document everything. I even had low testosterone before I started. I was on testosterone treatment when I started, and I had been for like 3 years, and it didn't seem like it was helping too much other than giving me some strength and giving me, the ability to perform the problem that I was having when I had low testosterone. But I've been off of testosterone now for close to 2 years, and my testosterone levels have normalized, something my doctor said wouldn't be possible. And I'm just loving life. It's all thanks to a carnivore way of eating. Now, my particular one is lion diet, so I stick to only ruminant animals. I have dabbled with a few other things, including dairy and eggs, but I tend to stay away from pork and chicken, and I found that I really don't do well with dairy. So as long as I can curtail that, that's probably my biggest vice right now, is staying away from a slice of cheese or a piece of butter every once in a while. Even though I know they're bad for me, I keep justifying it because, hey, it's a plant-based item. I mean, a animal-based item, sorry. So it's got to be good. But, as long as I stick to meat, I'm living and loving life.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Like I want to say thank you, because I remember you were one of the very only people documenting back when I started in April of 2022, and the first thing I wanted to do was find somebody who was experiencing what I was looking for. And I'll never forget you standing there with your long hair in the kitchen, cooking those grilling those, steaks in the pan. And it just really resonated with me, because I had heard what the doctor said. And so I guess the question that I would want to know, that I've been, just dying to ask you, is like, at this point, you've seen the success, you've had a lot of great results. What are some steps that you implement intentionally into your day that keep you focused now? Because I'm worried, and I think I give a lot of thought to having that success, and I don't want the other side of that success to be the place that everything dies, if that makes any sense. So what is some steps that you keep in place intentionally every day that keeps you focused and going forward now?
Well, there's a few things. One is the saying I came up with. I was out doing a walk and talk one day, And I remember saying to the people I was talking about that first time I decided to get up and go for that walk, I said, screw it. I'm just going to get up and do it. And I even commented during the video, I said, that's a good little motto to have right there. And since then, that has become my motto. And when I start off, when I don't feel like it, when I don't want to do what I got to do, I just say, screw it. I'm going to get up and do it and go take care of it. And it always turns out that no matter how much I didn't want to get up and go do it, when I'm done, I feel 1,000 times better. And if I skip it, if I don't do it, I feel bad all day long. I feel like you wasted your time. You wasted your opportunity. You're just muddling through again. Don't let this happen again tomorrow. So that's a big one. I think another one that's important is the community itself, because this is a lifestyle change that your family and your friends, for the majority, are not going to understand. And even when they see the pounds dropping off, even when they see you having tons of energy, even when they see that your attitude has changed, they're still going to express concern, because they've been told and they've been basically brainwashed to believe that this is going to kill you, that it's going to kill your kidneys, that it's going to kill your heart, that it's going to clog your arteries. And none of those things have been the case with me. I've had my kidneys checked over and over, and my EGFR keeps improving. The other statistic that I can never remember the name of is anyway, but whatever it is that deals with the kidney has stayed nice and level, so that it shows that there's no loss of function there at all. And I've even had a CT scan done once, just because I was having some other issues with my prostate. I had a little case of prostatitis during this period. I'm 50 years old, so I mean, 48 years of eating the wrong way probably didn't help. But the prostatitis turned out to be infection related, according to the doctor. But I had the scan done because my brother-in-law was like, oh man, your kidneys, you probably got stones from eating all this stuff. So we went and got the thing checked, and no problem at all. No problems with my kidneys. There was no sign of any type of solids there. And not to mention, I've come to find out that most of the kidney stones are from oxalates. So it has nothing to do with what you're going to get from meat. It has a lot to do with what you're going to get from kale and spinach and all that kind of stuff that I was pounding before. Let's see, the liver. My doctor said I had borderline fatty liver disease when I started. So I haven't had that issue. But the carnivore community is so important, because you're going to have these pushbacks from people. And a lot of them are going to go on for a very long time. I mean, people that have been watching me do this for I'm coming up on 1,000 days of being on an all meat diet. And I think it's October 11th will be 1,000 days. And still, people that I've known all my life will say, I just don't think it's healthy. I just don't think. I'm like, did you think it was healthy when I was 300 pounds? Did you think it was healthy when I was wearing size 42 pants? You didn't say anything to me then. And, I guess that's part of that. They don't want to be caught fat shaming. But when they see you getting in shape and you're just doing something that doesn't match what they think is normal, they're going to give you pushback. And I can't understand why so many people continue to be that way, other than the fact that they are brainwashed. I mean, when you hear the same thing over and over and over and over for 40 years, you tend to believe it. And when you have a belief, it's harder to change what you think you believe is true than it is to learn something new, or something like that. I forget how that phrase goes, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you can't really convince people they've been fooled as easily as you can tell them the truth the first time, and then they just believe it. So they've grown to believe that these things about meat are true, and there's so many things that are not true. It makes it hard. So having that community is a big part of it. Now, I don't personally watch a lot of the YouTube community. I do watch some of the doctors, because I don't have a doctor I can ask questions to. So I like Dr. Barry and Dr. Baker, and I even used to watch Dr. Saladino, although I don't know, he's done some things with his diet change that I don't totally agree with, so I don't watch him as much. But I get that community from the channel, because I get so many responses from the people that are out there that tell me that my story has affected them. So that keeps me going too. And I think it would be the same. It's a symbiotic relationship because they're telling me how much I inspire them and they inspire me right back. So that's been the key for me is community, and then just that attitude of screw it. I'm going to get up and do it. I'm not going to let today get away. And I do take my rest days. As a matter of fact, today's Saturday, so this is my rest day. I want to take a break. I was moving trees all day in the yard yesterday, probably overdoing it a little bit. I'll have a video coming out, I think tomorrow or Monday, that shows some of that. And but it's nice at age 50 to be able to get out there and throw a 10-foot log on my shoulder and carry it off so that I can get it off my property. I just love it. I love that community, and I love when I get it done. Those are the keys.
Nice.
Well, thank you for doing what you do.
Absolutely.
Hey, thank you guys for being here too, because I mean, it's like I say, the inspiration we give each other helps us to overcome all this negativity that's out there about this. And I just want to see more people wake up. I love that friends of mine and some family members have joined in by finally seeing what I'm doing. And I can't wait to share some more of their stories. And I also agree with something Carrie said in the beginning. It's those individual stories that are so important. I love Dr. Baker and I love Dr. Berry, but these guys seem to be genetic freaks sometimes. They're big, beastly guys, and they're doctors. So, I mean, you look at them and you say, I can't be that. I mean, he's like the power lifter guy, and, you know, Dr. Berry's a practitioner, so you think he's got all this knowledge that you're not going to have, so you feel like you can't do this. But when I share these stories of regular people and I do these carnivore conversations with some of the people who have found my channel and told me their stories, those are the most inspiring things out there, because somebody's story is going to be different than mine. And being able to share more of those stories, it's going to resonate with more and more people and start that cascading effect that we're seeing happen right here.
Right. The ripple effect. Yeah. I honestly don't believe we would be here doing this 24-hour live stream if I didn't learn about carnivore for you, because it fired me up so much. I don't, who knows what would have happened, but it's a crazy thing, that ripple effect, because now I'm doing it, and my mom's doing it, and both of my sisters are doing it, and it's just crazy how it spreads. I really love watching your YouTube channel. I wish we had more time to continue talking. We've got a little time left. I think, Adam, maybe we can do a super chat or two, but I was going to say, Dante Ferrigno Freedom, I have a link in the description below. I highly recommend everyone check out Dante's channel. That's the biggest thing I see people getting stuck on. They always say you have to know your why. I think a lot of people know their why. They're desperate. There's desperate people out there that are hopeless. They have to know their how, and in order to figure out your how, you have to do the research. Like Dante was saying, there's so much amazing free information out there, whether it's from Dr. Jordan Peterson or from Dante's channel or these other channels. You just got to go out there and do your research. It's such a blessing that we have all this free information at our fingertips. You gotta use it to overcome your fear, so you can figure out your sort of how of it. But yeah. So Adam, is there any super chats we can cover quick? This is going to be such a crazy event.
Oh my goodness,
talk to Dante for a couple more hours.
We have a lot. So we're going to try to go through these extremely rapid fire. So again, Dante, thank you for being here and helping with this cause. Undoubtedly, you've helped raise a lot of money so far. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
Awesome. So first we have Peachy Pam is a new member. Thank you. The Retired Fat Guy, new member. Awesome. Andy Pollock, new member. Carnivore Cure, new member. Alan, new member. Eat Meat, Feel Good, a new member. Susan Shaw, new member. Shannon Bedard, new member. The Kingdom Way Keto to Carnivore, new member. Don, new member. D Metler 9, new member. Carnivosaurus Rex, new member. Healthy Carnivore UK, new member. Lee Kaiser, new member. The Polka Moonshine family, new member. And Carnivore Scott, what a beautiful day this is. Amen. Absolutely. Patty Ann, looking forward to finding even more YouTube channels to follow and learn from, and love watching this movement community grow. Thank you for all you do, Carrie. The Kingdom Way Keto Carnivore, Super Chat 279, thank you. And this is Kelly Hogan, I believe. My Zero Carb Life. I'm excited for the message to To be spread. Eat the meat, save the humans. Kelly,
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you. Tanja Butner, new member. Cristobal Gonzalez, Aller Zavalia, SEK $27. Hi, I'm from Spain and live in Sweden. Awesome.